Hi, guys. Welcome back. In today's video, we'll be recapping a funny and exciting manhwa called Black Killer Whale Baby. Now, let's start the story. The recap starts with a woman kneeling on the ground, surrounded by people lying motionless. Her breathing is heavy, and her injury is critical. The people lying around her aren't just random. In the corner is the male lead, and from another side, the second male lead. They're the first and second children of the killer whale family, and the man lying dead with his eyes open is the youngest child. This entire group is the killer whale family, each with the same color and style of hair. But as for the woman, she couldn't live past the age of 22 this time, either. In this vast, ruined kingdom, now just a pile of dirt against the backdrop of a wide sea, this world is part of a childcare book. She has lived 3 lifetimes here, at ages 20, 21, and 22. It feels as if being born into this villainous family was a punishment. Reincarnated into what should be a cute, lovely story, she is, in reality, the most miserable character in this world. As she waits for her final moment, the monster arrives, a man with large wings circled by a dark aura. This man, known as the Duke Dragon, gazes sharply at the woman. Her situation grows worse, and she feels anger toward the useless male leads for provoking the Duke Dragon and causing this disaster. Does it make any sense for a childcare story to have such a massacre? But as her mind races, a new hope appears before her eyes. Only she can see it, the streets of Seoul. Though confused by this vision, one idea takes hold. If she can reach that place, she might be able to go back home, her real home. Her face brightens as the thought lifts her worries about her life or death situation, making them vanish like a bubble. The dragon prepares a long-range attack aimed at the woman, but she sees this as a golden opportunity. In her third life within this childcare story, she resolves to take control of her fate, and even the dragon, in her next life. Now, in a large kingdom, a few noblewomen are gathered in one place, and the room is filled with whispers. They're talking about our protagonist, who has become a young, super cute girl in a beautiful dress, held in the arms of a maid. Some of the whispers are about her lack of any awakened powers since birth, which means she's essentially being offered as the dragon's bride. But our little girl hears these whispers and feels proud and happy. She's certain she'll become the dragon's bride in this life. This place is the world of a story titled I Became the Reincarnated Baby Daughter of the Black Panther Family. In this life, she's tired of trying to change the original plotline to create a better life for herself. But she's completely messed it up. And that's not the worst of it. She's received a time curse that makes her regress repeatedly, forcing her to relive her life. In her first and second lives, she faced brave failures. She recalls how she tried to seduce the original male lead but failed, crying over the lost chance for a romantic life before she died suddenly of tetanus. In her third life, she began with ambition, only to get entangled in the schemes of the original male lead and ultimately be massacred. However, just before her eyes closed, she saw the Duke Dragon's incredible power. She thought she might be able to use this power to go back to her real life on Earth. This is now her only hope to return to her normal life, her true life, on Earth. They enter the room, and the maid places her down roughly, making her but hurt. She understands this maid's attitude since she's always been ruthless, even toward children. The maid leaves the room and shuts the door. Warm sunlight fills the room, but for her, this light feels different. No one cares about her because she's seen as useless to this family, at least for now. In the silence, an older, strong-looking woman appears. It's the current head of the killer whale family, Orcula Equasiade, standing before the little girl. Orcula observes her, ready to name her. Miss Orcula asks about her water power, but the butler, reviewing the paperwork, indicates disappointing results. Orcula becomes visibly upset and starts to walk away. The butler quickly asks for a name, and Orcula chooses the name Calypso. Now, our little girl is named Calypso Equasiadel. Let me explain. The power of water mentioned here is a special ability passed down through generations in this family, enabling the bearer to wield the strength of underwater creatures on land. The more powerful the person, the greater the control they have over these forces. Returning to the story, as Miss Orcula nears the door, Calypso becomes worried. Without Orcula's favor, she could be abandoned and left to die, and she must survive until at least age 10 to become the dragon's bride. Though small, she shouts with an unexpectedly strong voice, asking Miss Orcula for more time. Her expression is funny, a mix of anger and determination, almost like a gangster's face, as she calls Orcula her grandma. Surprised, Orcula asks the butler who taught Calypso to speak. The butler explains that most children start speaking simple words around age 2. Though Orcula knows that killer whale children typically learn speech slowly and struggle with words even at age 5. Intrigued, Orcula steps closer to Calypso, who beams, happy to finally have her grandmother's attention. Orcula requests that Calypso speak again. Calypso smiles sweetly and says, "Grandma," impressing Orcula, who realizes that Calypso not only speaks but also fully understands. The butler is concerned, having never heard of this from Calypso's maid or nanny. Calypso feels proud of her ability as a regressor and inwardly celebrates her unique skills. Gently picking up Calypso, Orcula remarks that she's the spitting image of Pierre, and, though she lacks water power, her intellect is highly developed. Orcula asks Calypso if she can prove her worth. In contrast to her previous life, where she was left alone, this time Calypso smiles, reaches for her grandmother's hair, but then she suddenly pulls it out. With determination, she proudly declares that she's good at it and will prove her worth, as she's determined to go home no matter what. Now, guys, the first part of the story is really interesting, and it gets even better when she's reborn. I'd give it a 10 out of 10 for both the artist and author. They've created funny and engaging scenes, and the art adds a lively touch that complements the dialogue perfectly. Great work, author and artist. Looking forward to the next chapter. Orcula begins to laugh and questions how something like this could come from the man who had given up on life. She throws Calypso onto her bed and tells her, "All right?" Calypso feels annoyed that everyone is treating her like a child. Orcula tells her she will postpone her disposal and will place her in an educational institution this summer. The attendant agrees, adding that if Calypso doesn't show results, she'll be expelled without a second chance. Calypso is determined, thinking, "I'll grow quickly, become the best, and leave this family forever." Her goal is to survive safely until she turns 10, but her physical abilities are still lacking, and she is far behind. Looking at her hands, she considers that since she's being sent to the educational institution in this life, it would be much easier if she had a guardian there. While it's not entirely impossible to survive alone, the institution would provide her with support. The maid sets her down and tells her that in a week, her residence will be moved. Calypso realizes how quickly their attitudes change when they recognize her abilities. She tells them to proceed, thinking that among those favored by survival, she thinks that among the humans graced by the survival of the fittest, there is an adult who possesses overwhelmingly formidable power, someone who would instill fear in others yet understands her. Despite not having awakened the power of water, she is unique and not deeply involved in family power struggles. This person is her father, Pierre Aquacal. She recalls that he didn't even come when she was born and did not care for her older brothers. It is said that he doesn't appeal to the bond between family members, so she decides he should not find out about her. Although she is weak, she may possess a powerful ability, and if she catches his interest, she can expect help. With memories from her previous life, she never thought those conversations would be useful now. As she finds her father sitting in front of her, she feels astonished and nervous. She smiles gently and calls out to him, asking if he happens to know where the educational institution is. She reflects on how her past life was so short-lived that she couldn't see the real thing. Is this what they mean when they say a beautiful person has a short life? He remains silent, making her wonder if he is ignoring her. He finally tells her that she has taken the wrong path. She insists that she really needs to go there and questions if he cannot just take her, but he refuses and tells her to go back the way she came. She realizes that nothing in life is easy. She gets up and sits beside him, wondering how she can gain his interest. Thinking about offering him food, she reaches into her purse, pulls out some dried fruit she gathered, and asks if he wants one. He doesn't respond, and she sighs, not expecting this reaction. After a while, she breaks the silence, commenting on how quiet it is and asking if he has any friends or if he always plays alone here. She adds that if that's the case, he must be like her. Feeling frustrated that he continues to ignore her, she decides to make her presence known today. She stands up, tells him she should go now, and bids him goodbye, saying she will see him again. As she begins to walk away, she notices his hand appears slightly injured. He looks at it and wonders if she could be his daughter. He thinks that she must not know his true identity, while nearby students ponder if he is thinking the same thing. The appearance of a direct line to a collateral family is different, but their personalities look similar, so there is no way he wouldn't recognize her. By nighttime, she returns and overhears the maids talking. One maid tells the other to quiet down, while the second maid states that for a child with barely any abilities, it takes a lot of effort and is ultimately useless. She expresses a desire to get rid of the child quickly. This place leaves young ones like her alone until they die if they do not awaken their abilities to survive in this insane environment. She needs Pierre's help, confident that she can show enough genius to pique his interest. She had come out to meet her father in the morning, but now she wonders if there is anything she can do about her weak body. Her older brothers all inherited strength and athletic physiques, leaving her frustrated that she is the only one who is weak. This realization overwhelms her as she recalls that in her previous life, she was known for shedding tears like a water dragon. She had awakened the power of water by possessing the treasure, but rushing out to find the treasure right now seems impractical. Perhaps her father's conquest should take priority. As she hides to peek into a room, she hears a conversation between two guys. One mentions that they said a direct descendant was born here, while the other questions why they would say that if she cannot even use the power of water. Furthermore, they mention that she was going to be sold as a bride to the dragon. The first one adds that they will be recognized by the Lord and moved to the main house. If they are not disciplined now, it will surely interfere with Bon's plans. She thinks about Bon and realizes he must be the eldest son of her uncle. So, these two children must have volunteered to become collateral since they are the ones who have entered under a promising successor. It's not unreasonable for them to ignore other direct descendants. Now, the gray-haired man proudly announces that they should scold her harshly and make her unable to think of anything else. One boy agrees with this plan. As they talk, Calypso, who is hiding, realizes she needs to escape because she doesn't have any power right now. Unfortunately, as she moves, her foot steps on a small tree branch, causing a sound that alerts the two boys. This is bad for her, as she has been found and is now in trouble. The two boys start chasing her. Despite her small body allowing her to run quickly, her weak stamina makes it easy for them to catch up. One gray-haired boy questions if she's truly a direct descendant since she can't even use the power of water. Calypso, now frustrated, stands up with her dress dirty and a leaf on her head. She asks if these two boys are the collateral ones under the lesser ban. The two boys are surprised by what they hear, but the gray-haired boy with an attitude challenges her, asking how she plans to catch the Lord's attention without any power of water. Calypso, now angry, grabs his finger and bites it hard, causing it to swell and turn red. She isn't done yet. She scolds the two boys with loud, harsh words, questioning why they compare her to primitive land creatures. Although the gray-haired boy still has the nerve to talk back, Calypso knows she has no items on her to defend herself or run away. Her only solution is to use her father's name and power. She mentions her dad, and the two boys instantly realize that if her father is Pierre, it's serious trouble for them. They know that in the intense competition for succession among the grandchildren, being recognized by the direct head of the family is a big advantage. Even Calypso knows it must have been unwelcome news for them. The two boys hesitate to believe her, but she adds that she was on her way to meet her father. Calypso wonders what her dad would say if he knew the direct subordinates of Ben were causing such chaos. Hearing this, the gray-haired boy gets even angrier, but one of the boys tries to stop him from escalating the problem further. However, the gray-haired boy, not thinking clearly, rushes forward to attack her in revenge for biting his finger. Calypso can't fight back as she has no strength or water power, but she's saved when a vortex of water suddenly appears, tying up the gray-haired boy and throwing him to the ground. The two boys are stunned, realizing that Calypso doesn't have control over the power of water, yet someone has used it. Only family members can wield water power. They quickly run away in fear as Calypso happily shows her hands to them, as if she had done it herself. She is surprised at what just happened, realizing she might have suddenly awakened the power of water. However, she doesn't realize the real reason. A handsome man hiding behind a tree is the true source of the water power. As she sits and looks at her dress, now covered in dirt, she feels sad, thinking she might not be able to meet her dad because she needs to treat her wounds. Meanwhile, Pierre gets his water power back, now mixed with a red liquid that appears to be blood, as he wonders if Calypso knows his true identity. Calypso walks back, muttering about missing her former toughness, which Pierre overhears, leaving him puzzled by what she meant. A new day begins. After yesterday's events, Calypso tries to use the power of water again, but nothing happens. She realizes that, as expected, she has not awakened it yet, though things were going so well before. There is a knock at the door, and when she allows the person to enter, one of the maids introduces herself as Misa, saying that she started working here today and asks Calypso to please take care of her. Calypso reflects on her status upgrade from Miss to Princess. The maid then informs her that the date for entering the primary education institute has been set. Calypso wonders where she has seen this maid before, then suddenly remembers that, in the fight against land-dwelling beasts, two conditions were essential: a commander with exceptional water power and a base with the ability to locate water sources. In a unit without a commander with the power of water, water sources were crucial. She ponders where she's seen this person before, though the maid seems unaware of it. Thinking she might be useful later, Calypso decides to remember her. When Misa asks where she is going, Calypso responds that she's just going for a walk. Misa tells her that many buildings in this area have collapsed, making it dangerous to go alone, and offers to accompany her for safety. Calypso recalls feeling like being the dragon's bride would be like just getting sold off, remembering Ula's words that, if she couldn't prove her worth, she'd be expelled. She recalls being called useless, with others wishing they could get rid of her soon. She tells Misa that she is very kind, making Misa emotional. Calypso thanks her but insists she's fine on her own, and heads outside. Seeing her dad, she calls out to him. He asks if she's lost again, and she denies it, asking if she really looks that clueless. She knows it wouldn't be wise to ignore her father's presence, so she asks him if he knows how to use the power of water. He asks, "What if I do?" She tells him to teach her, saying he seems like he'd be a good teacher. Curious, he asks her why she thinks that. She admits she doesn't know but says she just got that vibe from him. He asks her what she means, and she earnestly tells him that she really wants to learn and asks if it's possible, hinting that he has the chance to raise a genius disciple. Amused, he asks who she inherited her cheekiness from. She replies, "From you, of course." She then adds that her dad is super handsome, incredibly capable, and the most awesome person in the world. He wonders if he's really like that. She tells him he is. He loves her, treasures her, and worries she'll get hurt. She recalls memories from her past when he would call her princess and tell her he loved her so much, asking if she got hurt and saying he'd kiss her to make it better. Her dad and mom showered her with so much love that she forgot she was adopted. To her, they are her irreplaceable family, and she dreams of being reunited with her mom, vowing that she will definitely return home. Pierre asks her why she doesn't learn from her own father. She replies that he is busy, while Pierre seems to have free time, so he could help her out, right? Suddenly, she starts to notice the power of water. She looks at Pierre, realizing he's applying pressure with water power. She tells him she will be going to the educational institute soon and needs to master the power of water to be the best. He warns her that forcing an awakening could be fatal, but she responds that it's okay. One only lives once, so what's the big deal if she dies? He asks what the power of water has to do with the educational institute. She argues that to become the best, it's essential. He wonders how kids these days are raised to be so reckless, though he acknowledges he's the craziest person here. She tells him that her dad would want her to become an outstanding orca. He thinks to himself, questioning why she would lie so blatantly when she knows who he is. When she asks him again for help, he remains silent. She insists that he can see she's incredibly smart and only needs a little assistance. Finally, he uses his power of water, and she begins to float in the air. He wonders what she will do if she gets caught in this contradiction. He then asks if she really thinks that someone who wants her to be strong, yet offers no help, truly loves her. She smiles and tells him that her dad really does love her, that he's the best, and that he's the coolest and strongest person in the world. After a while, he finally tells her to set her own schedule, mentioning that he'll warn her in advance but won't consider age, so she should be here at the same time every day. As he leaves, she feels a rush of excitement, thrilled that he's willing to help her. She asks what she should call him, Mr. or Master. He tells her she can call him whatever she likes. She decides to call him Master and thinks that with his help in awakening her power of water, it's only a matter of time. Reflecting on her previous life, she remembers awakening the power of water with the help of a treasure. But awakening wasn't the end. She had to learn how to control it. Fortunately, she once met a certain genius who taught her control techniques. When asked if she didn't know how to control it, the genius suggested that by continuously exposing herself to the power of water, she would naturally learn to manage it. Thanks to that, she quickly gained control over the power, although she thought she was going to die during the process. He tells her that she should expose herself to the power of water first and asks her to take a dive. She questions what he means, and he repeats himself, explaining that sometimes an awakening occurs in life-threatening situations. Shocked, she tells him there's no way she can do that. He says if she doesn't like it, there are other options. She asks what those options are, and he describes extremely harsh trials. Reluctantly, she agrees to dive instead. As she goes for the dive, she realizes that the intensity of the training seems too high for her age. They tell her she needs to condition her body to withstand the power of water, 500 times for 10 hours, subjecting her to extreme hardships. She starts to feel weak and ends up fainting. When she regains consciousness, she gasps for air, realizing she almost died. Her dad looks at her and asks if she's an amoeba, then corrects himself, saying that even an omega would react to this level of stimulation. He remarks that her talent for awakening the power of water is less than that. She tells him that even if his words don't physically hurt, they're still painful. She asks if he has considered her age, pointing out that she is a 4-time regressor who has forgotten how to be a child, while he is a father who doesn't know his child. He replies that if she can handle the training, her age doesn't matter. She's aware that, although the master says this, she felt something inside her body move slightly. Though it's still nowhere near her brothers, who are renowned geniuses, she knows that becoming a powerhouse is within reach in this life. Finally, the day arrives for her to officially enter the school. In her second life, she was sold off immediately, and in her third, she quickly dropped out, realizing it was full of troubles. Someone welcomes her and introduces herself as Layla, the head of the primary education institution. Calypso is surprised to see her again, recalling that in her third life, she was forced to leave the institution due to schemes from the collateral branches. A person had claimed she stole his precious gem, which was found in her bag. Although she denied it, no one believed her. That was her first meeting with Layla, who had said there wasn't enough evidence to accuse her. Despite her calm and rational defense, she was powerless and was quickly expelled from the institution. Later, when she returned to lead her family, Layla was nowhere to be found. Now, she greets Layla and tells her it's nice to meet her. Layla, stunned, comments that she finds it remarkable that a 3-year-old speaks so perfectly and with such impeccable manners. Layla then offers to guide her to the class and asks her to follow. As they walk through the hallway, Calypso notes that Layla is considerate of her pace, ensuring she doesn't fall behind. Calypso recalls that, in her previous life, she never had a chance to thank her. In class, everyone is asked to pay attention as they have a new member. The girls find her really pretty, and they've heard rumors that she speaks well, despite her young age. Calypso notes that it's a fatal flaw for a direct descendant of the Orca family not to wield the power of water. Due to the Orca's slow development, it's normal for their children to start speaking at 7 to 8 years old, so the rumors about the genius lady who speaks well aren't unfounded. If there is any conspiracy at play, Calypso is determined to uncover it. Miss Layla is called over and questioned about how to proceed, as they can't continue class like this. Calypso, sitting with the other children, comments that playing with blocks is a childish game. When one child starts crying, she reassures them that a great ruler doesn't cry and, when offered candy, pats them on the head, telling them she'll accept it. She thinks that it's good that everything is going according to the plan she's been waiting for. This moment, she's asked which class she'd like to go to. She needs to catch her grandmother's eye, which means she has to be the very definition of a genius. She asks to be put in the 8-wheel class in the Alpha section, specifically the class with the older students in the primary institution and the one that gathers the best students. She questions her about it, asking if there's anyone in that class who can speak better than her. She's told that she'd be the best but must bear the consequences of her own choices. Questioning if she understands, she responds that that statement alone means that she's not being treated like a 3-year-old, right? Yes, she responded, saying she's impressed. Aside from when her third brother came to the institution, it's been a long time since she's been this surprised. And speaking of which, she's asked who told her about the educational stages in the institution. Calypso responds that her dad told her. She mentions that her dad loves her so much and he told her everything in detail. She's then guided to the class she chose. As she steps in, Layla thinks, did he really take care of his daughter? He's never once gone to see his children, and it was basically public knowledge. And if the lady and he met and interacted in secret, rumors spread faster than us, even if she cannot control the power of water yet. If her father is helping her awakening, it's just a matter of time rather than the appearance of just another genius child. A new successor, a challenger, might have appeared. Calypso's scheme worked far better than she thought. It went much more smoothly than she thought. He asks her what went smoothly. She tells him that her great abilities were recognized. That's what went smoothly. He states that he doesn't understand why she's excited. She cannot control the power of water. She will eventually be eliminated. She tells him that he's just a killjoy, but she understands because she's a 3-year-old who's also able to have a great conversation with a socially awkward person like her. He asks her if she wants an additional 10 laps today. She tells him she'll make a 33-line poem instead, but she asks him to look at her muscles, questioning if he's ever seen a 3-year-old with such endurance. With these muscles, she might be able to break stones soon. He finds it really strange. She cannot produce water, but her physical abilities keep improving. He asks her to follow him as there's training to be done. She follows him as she tells him that his house is really nice. She finds it more tests compared to what he can do. That's because he fell out of grandmother's favor. He shows her the place. She questions if that is a piggy. He tells her it's rude that she's comparing it to livestock. She apologizes to him and asks him, but what is this messy room? He tells her that this is his room and from now on, using the power of water, she will clean it up. She asks him what he means. He tells her to clear it up. She states that she heard it. But why cleaning? She questions, shouldn't running use the fact that the power of water is strongest for hitting someone? What is the training related to awakening, since the power of water also requires endurance? It tells her that sometimes she speaks as if she knows that power very well. She asks him if he wants her to use the power of water right now. He tells her that she understands it very well. He mentions that there are several ways to apply the power of water. First is fear, intimidating her opponent with her presence. Second is materializing water and controlling it freely. Third is removing the restrictions that water beings face on land. Fourth is using the power of water to enhance the body, which she can only use enhancements so far. If awakening is not far off, she will have to keep using her powers regularly. She wonders if he messed up the room on purpose to train her, finding him a strange father. She calls out to him. Her attention goes towards his expression as she realizes there it is again. That expression of someone with no regrets in the world. She wonders if it's because he's sickly and in pain. It's nighttime as she's still cleaning it up. She asks him where she should put this. He tells her to throw it away as it's useless. She knows if her father reacts like this, it must be something important, as this is what her past life's knowledge is telling her. She tells him, "All right, I'll throw it away," as she puts it in her pocket. She questions, "Isn't this his?" He responds, "No, it belonged to his wife." That surprised her, realizing there was no warning before, saying that even though she's living a repetitive life, what she knows about her mother is that she was an orca and a good person. That's all she's aware of. There's nothing else she can ponder. She doesn't plan on asking. He tells her it seems like the work was too easy. She responds, "No, it wasn't." He states that she should hurry up, questioning if she's planning to do this all night. She becomes really frustrated but thinks that using her powers continuously is helping her improve. She feels stronger compared to just running. He observes her and smiles slightly. Her body aches. She's told that as she had requested, she will continue to use this place. She understands and is aware that returning to the main house will make it harder to see her father, even though he said she would be doing laundry next time. He told her not to question his training, but she wonders if she should quit. She is then called and asked if she should go now. Sissel finds her more polite than yesterday. She's told that she has become quite famous in just one day. Word has spread to at least 16 of the Orca branch families, shocking her. She wonders how the news from yesterday spread so quickly. She was told that the teachers present yesterday had loose lips, and one of their fathers is a flying fish. She wonders if flying fish are known for being chatty, and since the news was shocking and scandalous, gossip tends to spread faster. She knows it sounds like they think her story is scandalous. Layla tells her that for some time, it's the kind of story they hope was scandalous. The work of the family consists of about 32 branch families centered around her grandmother, and adding the marine vassals makes the number huge. They all support different successes, so it's no surprise they see her as a thorn in their side. She's getting upstairs as Lee tells her that she's not just talented in languages but also climbing stairs as a 3-year-old without any sign of struggle. She responds yes. She was told that at this rate she could rival not just Bon and Sort but even Baloo, the first and second uncle's son, and her eldest brother, called a genius of the century. She asks Leela what she thinks, and Leela responds that honestly, her every action is astonishing. Calypso tells her that she might want to brace herself. It's only the beginning. She shows her that over there is also a top-level alpha class. She tells Lila that in just one day, the rumor of her being a genius has spread, and now she's entering the top class, finding it really impressive. Lila agrees with her. She asks Lila to go and tell her grandmother that she has never seen a genius like her. She wonders if it will cause a stir. Water beings take on the traits and characteristics of their animal counterparts. Thus whale beings generally avoid conflict, love peace, and are quite tolerant of other races. However, among these whales, there was Ethan, the killer whale. After today's lesson, they will be playing a block-building game. A kid complains that Karen hit her. The teacher tells him to please refrain from disruptive behavior. He responds, "All right, understood." He is the killer whale, and he mentions that playing such a childish game is ridiculous. Ruga and Ruba are the beluga twins. Karen asks them what they're even looking at, stating that they ain't even worth his fist. They state that there he goes again as usual. He tells the dolphin twins to keep it down. Right then, it is announced that they have a new student and tells them to welcome her with applause. They all wonder if that is the direct descendant, thinking that if it's a young girl, then they say that Lord Pierre's daughter was born. They say that she doesn't awaken any power when she was born and is a useless child. They say she is set to be married off as a dragon's bride and think how could such a useless being be born under Lord Pierre. She is questioned why she doesn't introduce herself to her classmates. Karen smirks, thinking that she is just somebody and he will make her cry. She tells everyone that it is nice to meet them all. The institution established by the orca teaches the law of the jungle. The girls find her really pretty, and the way she talks, they think she will definitely become the best. She introduces herself and mentions that she hopes this class meets their expectations. The teacher asks if everyone heard her and asks the students to please welcome her with a warm round of applause, stating that now they're going to play with blocks and asks everyone to be at their places. Right then, Karen appears and asks her if that is her natural hair color. She realizes that he came and asks him who he is and how old he is. He introduces himself as Karen and says he's 8 years old. He tells her that she's a direct descendant and very young, finding it adorable. She ponders that he is a stupid guy who is everywhere. She calls him a kiddo and tells him that if he was less of a mess, he wouldn't be talking. He becomes shocked as she points at him. She tells him that if he is 8 years old, then shouldn't he be moving on to an intermediate institution? She tells him that someone who cannot go to an intermediate institution at that age, what should they call him other than a fool? She states that for reference, she's 3 years old and asks him if he is not ashamed to be in the same class as a 3-year-old. He begins to get frustrated and tells her that it doesn't make sense for her to be able to speak properly until she's 5. She questions how he dares to place her on the same level as him. He gets really angry and attacks her, but she dodges. She then tells him that she guesses she'll have to teach him some manners. Grabbing him by the collar, she smacks his head, causing him to fall to the ground. Everyone is shocked as she tells him to think about the difference between them. She explains that she didn't want to resort to violence but has no intention of tolerating insults. She scares him by saying that her dad told her not to go around getting beaten up. Everyone is stunned, even the teacher, who questions if it's possible to exert such strength without awakening the power of water. Layla knows that Karen might lack brains, but he excels in strength. To subdue him so easily means rumors will likely spread, which is exactly as she planned. She's aware that she now has control over the class, receiving the attention usually given to the boss of the land. The teacher tells everyone to take their seats, saying that even a great whale needs to study hard. When she's back home, she realizes it was a fulfilling day. She's told that she won't need to transfer classes anymore and might stay in the beginner institution for a long time. Suddenly, she's greeted and thanked for saving the class, as Karen had always picked on them, and she destroyed him. She wonders if these are the white beluga dolphins, known for their intelligence and righteousness, at least by killer whale standards. She asks for their names, and they introduce themselves, saying their combined name is Ruga Ruba. She replies that it's nice to meet them and asks them to look after her, noting they are the first she's met who shares a common name. She wonders if her third-grade teacher, who was clever though unlucky, might have also been a dolphin. They tell her they're grateful, saying their mom advised them to be kind to people they meet. She tells them it doesn't feel like they're meeting for the first time, wondering what's going on. They then ask if using the stairs is hard for her and if she's strong enough. She assures them it's easy, but they still pick her up, saying they'll help her as her friends from now on. She thinks she might have just acquired some cute underlings. When she arrives, all the servants are there, some unfamiliar to her. She's told it's an honor to meet her, and she wonders what it's all about. Apparently, per Calypso's wishes, servants were sent from their domain to ensure her stay is more comfortable. She considers that this might be why the previous maids seemed dissatisfied. Deciding to handle it step by step, she states that she'll use her own personal caretaker and calls out to Mary, saying she was the only one who was kind to her, so she would go with her. And that's all for today, guys. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in seeing more of these recaps, just leave a comment to let us know you'd like to see more. Thank you, and see you in the next one.